How's it going, Luke? Thanks for doing this. You're a guy who ran a lot or ran a good bit in high school, had some rushing yards. Kevin Harris is close to 1,000 for the season. What would it mean to you guys for him to hit 1,000?
I mean, that's one heck of a milestone, especially for a guy like Kevin who's had a great year and is going to have a great game for us on Saturday. So, we finish out and get a win and get him to 1,000 yards. That'll be awesome.
Ben Briner.
Hey, Luke, there's some projections out there that potentially still have you guys maybe possibly in a bowl game if things kind of broke certain ways. Is that something you would want to play in? Do guys on the team seem like that's an outcome they'd like, or would you maybe just kind of want to move on and kind of start getting ready for next year?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that's something that's definitely out there for us. We're going to welcome any opportunity to play. Right now, we're just focused on Kentucky and getting the job done this week. But when that opportunity presents itself, we're going to be ready to go with whoever it is and wherever it is. We're going to be ready to go. So,
Mike Ewa.
Well, going back to Kevin, what makes him so special? What have you seen in terms of just the beginning of the season until now in terms of his growth?
I think it's really just his effort. At first contact and you think he's going down, he doesn't give up, he doesn't stop, and he just keeps pushing forward. And, we got guys like that all over the team, and Kevin is definitely one of them, that he doesn't stop, he doesn't quit, and he just keeps pushing. So, he's going to do the same thing on Saturday, and he's going to get that 1,000 yards. So,
Eric Boynton.
Yeah, Luke, one of your teammates described Kevin as I think a big ball of sunshine earlier this year, but Kevin's pretty close to the vest when he deals with us in the media. He doesn't give us a lot of insight into his personality. Could you kind of give us a little insight into the kind of guy Kevin is and his personality?
I think Kevin is just that. He's a big ball of sunshine. He brings a lot of positive energy out there. So I know that's awesome for me being back there. I've got a guy that I can feed off of and really bring that same energy. So it's good to have him out there. Getting everybody hyped up and when he's out there making plays, it's easy to do that. So Kevin's definitely an awesome guy, and we're really excited for him.
Pete Acabelli.
Hey, Luke, it's hard to believe in some ways that we're at the end of the regular season. Given this kind of year and what we all went through with COVID, did this season feel any different for you as you went by it week by week? And are there things you're going to remember more about this season than maybe some others?
Yeah, I mean, I think you said it best. It's definitely been a crazy year with COVID and everything, and I think the most memorable thing is just the weekly COVID test, But other than that, it's been pretty normal for us as far as game planning and practice goes. And we've really just tried to keep our eyes forward and focus on whoever we got this week, and that's Kentucky. So right now we're focused on Kentucky, all eyes there, and just ready to get after it on Saturday.
Dick Cox.
Can you talk about how tough it's been this year playing an all SEC conference schedule? You would have probably had several more wins had you had the non-conference games, but just talk a little bit about the competition and how tough it's been.
Yeah, I mean, that's really what you come to play in this league for, is the competition. And I definitely think we've done that this year. We've had chances to compete against some really good teams, and like I said, I think we've done just that. And we've got another chance to go out there and compete on Saturday, and I know we're going to get the job done. So we're excited about that.
Hale.
Luke, what's the coldest game you've ever played in? I can't imagine you've had a snow game at the
definitely not a snow game. Probably a playoff game in the 30s or so, but definitely not a snow game.
Yeah. But so what do you think about the possibility of that being the case for y'all on Saturday?
I think we're just going to bundle up and play, It's about all we can do. There's going to be adversity, and part of that adversity is going to be the weather. And that's something that, we're just going to have to take in. We're going to have to embrace it. And we're just going to have to go do our job. So
Ben Brenner.
Luke, I don't know how much film you guys have watched yet on them, but what kind of stands out with the Kentucky defense? How do they kind of play?
I mean, they're definitely physical. They've got a good front seven that that rallies to the ball pretty well. And I mean, they're a couple big bodies out there. Like I said, they're physical. So, we got to get hat on hat and, really just push the tempo and play fast.
Eric Boynton.
Luke, do you do anything as far as following? I know you got a game to focus on, but do you follow any of the stuff out there in the media as far as the coaching search? Is that of interest? I mean, obviously, if it's of interest to you, but do you follow that along and try to see what's going on in that regard?
I haven't been following that really. And I mean, to me, that's down the road. That's something that's gonna come along in the next couple weeks. And it's not really relevant to us right now. But when that time comes, we'll deal with it. But right now, we're just focused on Kentucky and just focusing on doing what we can to get a win this week.
Colin Taylor.
Yeah, like you kind of Shy's obviously been a big piece of this offense this year, but you really haven't gotten to play with him a whole lot because he was obviously hurt before when you came in against Missouri. Just how does this offense change with Shy not out there, and kind of how do you go about compensating for that if he can't go again against Kentucky?
Yeah, I mean, it's really just a next man up mentality. We've got guys behind him that also do a great job. Like DK, Josh, Trey Adkins, guys that have stepped in this year and really done a good job for us. Obviously, having him out there brings a different dynamic. But in the event that he can't be out there, we know that we've got guys that we can count on that'll go out there and get the job done too.
Mike Yuba.
Luke, I know you're well calculated when you come across us in terms of talking, but just the human in you and the competitor. Have you felt like maybe these last couple of weeks in terms of just looking at it as a rehearsal for next year? How tough is that not to think about what you're putting on the field and putting on tape right now, regardless of who that coach is next year?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, we're all competitors here. We want to win, and obviously, we hadn't gotten to do that this season. So this week's really about just getting a win, going out with a bang. And whatever happens next season. But we're just going to focus on Kentucky right now and focus on getting a win.
Wes Mitchell.
Luke, what's up, man? You've got obviously a couple of games of film of yourself now. What have you seen from yourself looking back over that film and sort of what's been your focus, I guess, moving forward?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just making sure I've got my feet in the ground when I go to throw, making sure my eyes are in the right place, and that I'm progressing in the ways that I should, and really just staying calm in the pocket. That's been a point of emphasis. I know this week and especially today during practice, just kind of staying calm back there, calming the feet, getting them in the ground, and just being ready to throw the ball. So,
Chandler Mack.
Hey, Luke, thanks for doing this today, man. Nick was really adamant about the Gamecocks keeping Bobby Bentley, Coach Bentley on staff after this season. I know you've only been here for like a year and everything, but is there any particular coach that you would like the Gamecocks to retain going towards next season?
I definitely think Coach Bentley would be a great one. He's been there for me, since I started this process in middle school, really. But I mean, that's kind of hard to say right now, just because we don't know, quite what's going on with the coaching change. But I mean, we're really just focusing on this week and focusing on Kentucky.
Ben Reiner.
Luke, how much development have you seen from some of this team's younger wide receivers? It seems like some of them maybe battled a few growing pains and are still kind of working and developing. What kind of growth have you seen from those guys, especially maybe the reserves that you worked with as a second and third teamer earlier in the year?
Yeah, I think it goes back to just the next man up mentality. We've had guys like Rico Powers, Jakari Caldwell, guys like that, Jaheim Bell. I mean, just step into a role in this offense that we've been able to use them, and they've been able to get some good action. When we've had some guys down or maybe had some guys out. they've been able to come in and do some good things for us. And I definitely think the future with them is going to be bright. So we're excited to have them.
Last question goes to Eric Boynton.
Luke, going back to the weather for a minute, as a guy that's grown up in warm weather, would it be kind of cool to play in a snow game? Or as a guy that has to handle the ball on every snap, is that a worst case scenario if there's some snow out?
No, I think it'll be pretty cool. I don't think I've seen actual snow really at all. So I mean, I think that's going to be pretty cool as far as handling the ball. I think we're going to be just fine. So that'll be a good experience for us, and we're just going to go out there and do everything we can to get a win.
All right, thank you, Luke.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it.